Hello everyone, and welcome to a chapter reading from the 13 Original Clan Mothers by Jamie Sams. This month we're exploring the clan mother of the 10th moon cycle, and her name is Weaves the Web. Gossamer threads of life hold me, perched between earth and sky, weaving the web, dreaming the dream. Through the two worlds I will fly. With you as my muse, mother, I create the substance of dreams, allowing the artist within me to fashion my life with esteem. I mold the clay of experiences into a sacred medicine bowl, capturing the essence of living as it sings deep in my soul. Your secrets of creation, mother, have taught me when to destroy the chains that have bound me, limiting the expression of my joy. You have taught me how to labor, giving birth to the visions within, setting them free like silver arrows, kindling the fire of creation again. Weaves the Web represents the creative principle within all things. Her moon cycle falls in the month of October and is connected to the color pink. Working with the truth is her cycle of truth. She teaches us how to use our hands to create beauty and truth in tangible forms. Pink is the color of creativity. Weaves the Web shows us how to use crafts and art to create our ideas and dreams in the physical world. Through using our hands, we show our willingness to be of service to all our relations. Weaves the Web is the guardian of the creative force in all things. She helps us express our creativity in a positive manner and use the energy available to us. This clan mother is also the keeper of life force and instructs us to create health, to manifest our dreams, to develop and use our talents, and to access our spiritual potentials. The clan mother of the 10th moon cycle is the mother of the creative and destructive principles. She shows us when to destroy limitations and create anew. She also teaches us when to nurture our creations, because she is the keeper of survival instinct. When our physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual survival is at risk, Weaves the Web shows us how to tap into the life force to go beyond the stagnation. She is an artist, a creatress, and the muse who beckons and inspires us to create the beauty found in our heart's desire. Through making something tangible and filling that creation with beauty, we are shown that the stuff of dreams can be expressed, giving form to our visions. She is the clan mother we turn to when we are afraid of failure or lack self-expression. When we follow the steps necessary to bring our dreams to life, Weaves the Web shows us how to use the life force found in the four elements: air, earth, water, and fire. We learn how to mix these elements with the creative essence that is our gift from the great mystery. The creative spark is called the eternal flame of love and lives inside our spiritual essences. When the desire to create is in place, we are then able to make the decision to be. We then give form to our spiritual essences or arindas through self-expression. Oh, I love this chapter. Weaves the Web, like Grandmother Spider, who wove the web of the universe, teaches us how to weave the web of our experiences. She shows us how every circle we create grows to touch the circles created by all other life forms. The webs we create can trap us if we do not create them in truth. We are asked by this clan mother to work with and for the truth in order to manifest a world dream that all living things can share. Woohoo! A web that is created in greed will eventually trap and devour the one who wove it, because it was woven too tightly to allow giving, receiving, and sharing. The web, woven too loosely, without care, lacks the craftsmanship that is necessary to make it strong and durable. A web woven from fear will attract the lessons learned to overcome that fear. A web woven from the love of creating and the desire to share the abundance caught in the web's silvery fibers is the web that will endure until the dream is fulfilled. Weaves the Web is the clan mother we turn to when we need the skills to make our dreams real. She shows us how to take the actions necessary to tap our creativity and go with the flow. Giving birth to our dreams is always accomplished by having the desire to create, deciding to create, and taking the actions necessary by using the flow of life force to give birth to the dream in the tangible world. Grandmother's spirit came down. Now, this is a story about this clan mother while she was in human form, learning the lessons that she needed to learn to then guide us sisters from the Star Nation. So she lived on Earth as a human, two-legged, for as long as it took for her to learn all the lessons she needed to learn around this message of how to work with the truth. So it's called Grandmother Spider Came Down. Weaves the Web scooped up the rich white clay from the river's embankment below the chalky bluffs and placed the lumps of earth into her river reed basket. The leaves of the scrub oak had turned bright red in contrast to the yellow pollen that clung to the deep forest green of the surrounding cedars. Remember, this is a different season to the one Australia is in because this is a Native American story, so that's why the seasons don't sound the same as Australian seasons, but the message is still the same. The leaves of these standing people would bring forth many colors when added to her oven to fire the bowl she would create from the clay. She would climb the limestone cliffs to gather the flat leaf cedar and red-orange oak leaves. But she was happy to do it. Weaves the Web found such joy in making objects of beauty and experimenting with new designs that she often lost herself in the creative process. Sometimes when she was out walking on the land, she would find herself deep in the tall trees, covered with vines and chirping birds, and would have no idea where her wanderings had taken her. Weaves the Web had a natural ability to retrace her trek by looking into her basket and working with the gathered objects that she had placed in a specific order. She could begin with the last object that she had gathered and walk back to the area where she found it. Then one by one, the locations of her collected bounty would take her back to familiar surroundings. From those often traveled locations, the clan mother would easily find her way home. Weaves the Web used the bark, berry, tubers, leaves, and mosses to gather in the same way Grandmother Spider used the silvery threads of her web. It made no difference if the mother of creativity traveled in a circle or in a straight line. She could always find her way back to her camp. Each location where Weaves the Web gathered something from the land contained a spot where she had connected her creative threads of self-expressions with the living plants, earth, or stones of sunlit forest. The clan mother always left a gift for the spirits of the forest when she took something of her own to use, for her own use. The loving exchange, showing gratitude, left a trail through the lush growth that formed a homecoming trail back to her camp, nestled in the limestone outcroppings that towered over the river's bend. As Weaves the Web dug more clay from the embankment, using a sharp piece of stone as a hand tool, she saw in her mind's eye the medicine bowl she would fashion from the clay. The enjoyment she felt when she used her hands to make pots coursed through her arms, bringing her a sense of satisfaction that made the hard work of digging the clay seem easy. The hole carved by spring runoff that gaped like an open mouth in the slanting ridge reminded Weaves the Web that the Earth Mother would need to be fed after sharing the cloud-colored clay with her two-legged daughter. Weaves the Web had carried several large stones down the bluff to place inside the orifice where she had dug her clay. Squirrel scampered down the trunk of a pecan tree on the other side of the river, exposing his nut-laden cheeks to Weaves the Web. He tried valiantly to give the clan mother a smile without spitting out the pecans. Weaves the Web giggled at Squirrel's predicament, thinking of the lessons she had taught her through the natural medicine of gathering energy and saving a little extra for lean times. In the early seasons of her earth walk, the clan mother had learned to pack dried fruits, tubers, and meat in underground storage holes, saving the food for use in winter. Squirrel was once again preparing for the coming snows. Weaves the Web noticed that Mother Beaver and her clan had made ready for the coming white moons because they were busy stopping the river's flow, adding saplings to the dam they had built across the inlet just downstream from where she was digging clay. The changing temperatures were a sign to the clan mother that it was time to gather all the materials she would need to keep her busy during the winter, when her activities were limited by the biting white winds of the north. She had filled her food stores, gathered herbs for cooking and medicinal purposes, and tanned the green pelts needed for a new parka. And now she was collecting the supplies she would need to make usable implements for her life in camp. She silently thanked Mother Beaver for showing her how to use her time to build or make things during periods of long inactivity. Beaver was the keeper of builder medicine, who showed humankind how to keep busy by being productive, bringing their visions and dreams of a better life into reality. The tribe that walked through the clan mother's forest in summer, following the trail to their ripening moon's gathering, was always happy to trade with the artist because her creations were so unusual. Weaves the Web always had a storehouse of handmade toys, baskets, clothing, clay pots, and cooking utensils finished by the time the snows had been replaced by clear green shoots of new undergrowth. By the moon of ripening berries, the clan mother had bartered for the items that would fill her own needs, assuring her that she could meet the challenges of living alone during the falling snows. Every moon of falling leaves, Weaves the Web would see which raw materials were available and would plan all of the things she could make during the time her creature friends would be hibernating. The clay she was now digging would be part of her cache of art supplies, as would the leaves she intended to gather later before grandfather's sun went down. For the next 2 moons, the clan mother would complete her gathering and store all her needed supplies in the cavern she called home. The blowholes in her cavern, created by the Earth Mother's metamorphic growth and cooling cycles in ages past, had provided the clan mother of creativity a few excellent places to keep her things. She could even fire her pots in a blowhole that had a natural chimney through the limestone roof, high above the cave's entrance. Winter came with its blustery glory. The northern winds exhaled the snows in swirling patterns, covering everything with glistening ice beams and downing snowflake blankets. Inside the cavern, Weaves the Web was happy and warm. Each new sun brought new ideas and the continued joy of whittling, making pots, fashioning dolls from old bones, basket weaving, or sewing hides into clothing. Weaves the Web put her love and expertise into each item she made, and in doing so gave creation the gift of life and purpose, similar to the way the Great Mystery gave life and purpose to all of creation. She looked forward to the coming days of trading during the ripening moons that would bring her away to share her artistic endeavors with other two-leggeds. Just imagining the expressions of joy that would light up their faces after the trade was completed warmed her heart, even now in the deep cold of winter. The ones she traded with would never show how much they liked something before a trade was complete, fearing the bartered would ask too high a price. But afterward, the gleam in their eyes was a welcome reward for the mother of creativity. One sun, after the first few snows had blanketed, the Earth Mother in her white robes, Weaves the Web, awoke to find the most exquisite spider web she had ever seen. So one sun, after the first few snows had blanketed the Earth Mother in her white robes. Okay, great. So the snows come. Weaves the Web awoke to find the most exquisite spider web she had ever seen, covering the open of the blowhole. In the center of the web was the most unusual spider, completely white except for one red spot on the upper portion of her body. Weaves the web marveled at the unusual appearance of the eight-legged friend. Spiders did not usually appear during the cold of winter. Perhaps the warmth of the cavern had brought her visit, but it was doubtful. Weaves the web thought it was a sign from the grandmother spider who wove the web of the universe. Grandmother Spider was the special creature that the great mystery had chosen to weave the original webs of the tangible world, making a skeleton of concentric circles that would hold the flesh and realities of all life forms in creation. Weaves the Web asked Spider if she had a special message. She was startled by the creepy crawly's answer, echoing as a voice inside her human thoughts. I have been sent from Grandmother Spider to tell you that you have created many things of beauty and have woven a new web of experience because your heart has expressed the desire to share that creativity with others. Use your new medicine bowl to speak the visions that will reflect the desires hidden within your heart. Seek answers to what is coming into the web you have woven of your hidden desires. Trust that you have chosen well and that your dreams will be fulfilled. Weaves the Web went to the far corner of the cave where she kept her medicine objects to retrieve her latest creation. The bowl was hard-fired and blackened with smoke from the leaves she had gathered. Here and there were flecks of color from trace minerals in the clay. She retraced her steps across the cave, lit a fire, and filled the bowl with melted snow. It was not long before her efforts brought the vision of 3 two-leggeds stumbling through the snow at the edge of the forest. One larger and 2 smaller forms struggled against the pounding winds of the storm. The vision changed, and the Weaves the Web saw the smiling faces of 2 children, then nothing. That night, Weaves the Web dreams she was looking for food in the sea, and she looked down into her woven web net. She spied a starfish. It was an unusual starfish, colored a brilliant purple red. Starfish spoke to her and told her that its body represented the creative life force that two-leggeds could use when they tapped into the clan chiefs of air, earth, water, and fire, and then mixed those elements with the creative force of the great mystery. Starfish showed Weaves the Web how the clan mother had employed that same use of energy in making her crafts in the ingenuity she had used in fashioning the cavern into a warm hole. Starfish whispered to the clan mother's heart, Weaves the Web, you have used your creativity to fill your life with beauty, but you have become lonely. The hidden desire in your heart is weaving a dream that can change that aloneness if you pay attention. The abundance of creative talent that you possess can be shared with others if you give birth to your dream of having a family. The clan mother was startled by Starfish's revelation, but she could not pull her senses away from the dream. She tried to wake up, struggling with her desire to remember, but as the dreamscape changed, she went even deeper into the pictures being presented. The keeper of survival instinct knew on some level of consciousness that she needed to surrender and follow the dream vision in order to understand why she had not allowed the feeling of being alone to surface. She sighed in her sleep and then plunged into the watery world around her. Fathoms of ocean traveled past as she slipped beneath the waves, discovering that she could breathe under the dream water. When she reached the ocean floor, Starfish, riding on her shoulder, whispered to her again, Weaves the Web, you are immersed in the watery womb of the Earth Mother. Here you can give birth to your dreams and allow yourself to be reborn in the process. You never allowed the aloneness to surface because you were busy giving life to other creations. The clan mother focused her attention on her womb and saw all the pent-up feelings she had hidden from herself with her desire to create. She wanted children. She wanted to share the toys she had made and to teach the young to use their imaginations, allowing them to create to their heart's content. She wanted to share the wisdom she carried regarding every human's ability to create as much as her or her imagination would allow. Children knew how to make that kind of magic, and so did Weaves the Web. A deep cry rose in her throat as she screamed her loneliness into the water. Suddenly, the clam mother felt a movement in her belly. She had the urge to spread her legs and push hard. She allowed her body to do the work, and a big iridescent bubble came from her womb into the water and rose to the surface. She caught a brief glimpse of bright eyes and two smiles looking back at her. Her body jerked involuntarily, and she woke up. It was an unusually chilly pre-dawn, so she decided she would make a big fire to warm her shivering body. There was no use in trying to go back to sleep. She looked at the blowhole where Spider had been and was astonished to discover the figures of 3 two-leggeds woven into the outer edge of the web. Spider was gone. The fire was having trouble getting started because of a draft coming into the cavern from around the hides that covered the entrance. The clam mother threw a heavy robe around her shoulders and stumbled to the doorway. When Weaves the Web tried to cover the cave's entrance with the hides, pulling the rocks over the bottom of the skins to anchor them, she saw not far from the trail that led to her home a large mound covered in snow that was not usually there. Thinking that some lost creature had broken its leg and could provide her with some fresh meat, she grabbed her flint knife and braved the foggy grayness to pre-dawn. Upon reaching the mound, she placed her fur-wrapped foot on the side and gently nudged it to see if the animal was still alive. After a second, firmer nudge, the guardian of creativity heard a human groan. The next few moments were spent in a furious endeavor to dig the body out of the snow. Upon reaching a nearly frozen buffalo robe, Weaves the Web cast it aside and found the blue body of a woman sheltering 2 children. The clam mother bent close and listened, realizing the woman was no longer alive, but she was now walking in the spirit world. She tried to reach beneath the frozen mother to see if the children were still breathing. She wrestled with the frozen arms of the woman's body and pulled a boy of 4 summers into her arms and then his older sister. She placed both children on her robe and covered them with 2 smaller robes that had been beneath them, keeping their bodies from lying directly on the frozen snow. She fought and tugged, dragging her load up the trail to the cave. The bodies of the children were ice cold, but they were breathing. She returned her thanks to the north wind for not bringing more snow and for the lives of her 2 charges. She had covered the woman's body, but she would have to return later to bury her body deeper to keep it from being food for wandering carnivores. Finally, she reached the hides of the cave's entrance. The fire blazed brightly, giving all 3 people the warmth they desperately needed. Amid whispers and moans, Weaves the Web worked diligently to rub the life back into the children's half-frozen limbs. The clan mother was reassured that the children would recover by the smiling faces she had seen in her 2 visions, but she hurriedly continued to administer her healing salves, stopping only once to hang a pot of stew over the fire. After the children had been rubbed, fed, and then tucked in extra heavy sleeping robes, the clan mother rested. Tiny sighs and moans came from the buffalo robes nestled near the fire. Assured that the children were asleep, the keeper of survival instinct donned her fur parka and went to bury the children's mother in the fading light. Later, bone-weary, after stoking the fire for light, she collapsed into a dreamless sleep, but had some part of herself still listening to make sure the children were all right. Sound of Rain was a young girl of 11 summers who found comfort in being with Weaves the Web. So Sound of Rain was the name of the 11-year-old. From the first instant that the girl resigned herself to the fact her mother was in spirit, she began calling Clan Mother Aunt. This term of endearment was the way tribal children showed respect for their elders, acknowledging extended family as well as blood kin. Sun behind the clouds, her little brother, So it's Sound of Rain and Sun Behind the Clouds. Had only passed 4 summers, but was precocious, bold, and interested in everything he came into contact with. The little warrior was fascinated with the things this new aunt could do and the way she included him in all the activities of life inside the cavern. Weave the Web was overjoyed with the company of the new niece and nephew. The children were always looking for ways they could assist in the daily routine. Sounds of Rain was very creative and willing to talk about the ideas that poured from her imagination when she was learning how to make things. Sun Behind the Clouds was a quick learner and was the quieter of the two. Sun Behind the Clouds was the quieter of the two, but they said he was precocious and bold. And interested. So, wow, the sister must be really confident. Together, the three would spend hours making new and wonderful toys, clay pots, and paintings, as well as participating in stories and games. Weaves the Web felt that she had been given a gift that made her life complete. The children had replaced their sense of loss with a magical world that filled every passing sun with new games, fun, and a sense of family, living with an aunt who cared for them very deeply. The storms of winter howled and groaned outside the cavern, but inside the fire was warm, the food was plentiful, and the loving new experiences seemingly inexhaustible to the two little ones. Weaves the Web assisted Sun Behind the Clouds in making a child-sized shield out of a rawhide and a tiny set of arrows to go with a little bow. The young warrior would spend hours at the back of the cavern shooting the giant four-leggeds that the clan mother had painted on the walls of the cave. Sun Behind the Clouds would silently stalk his prey, hiding behind the boulders scattered here and there along the limestone floor. Then he would pretend he was a fully grown hunter who was capable of downing the buffalo or elk with one arrow. Often he would mimic hauling the meat home to his aunt and sister. Weaves the Web always thanked the Sun Behind the Clouds for his prowess and for the imaginary meat he brought to their fire. In a very serious manner, she would ask the little warrior what great four-legged he had downed that day, and he would name the creature. The aunt would then teach the boy how to apologize to the beast, giving thanks to the creature's teacher for the food provided, and then she would show the boy how to release the animal spirit. Beautiful. Every time Sun Behind the Clouds brought fresh and visible meat home, Weaves the Web would cook some dried meat from her stores for evening meal. Sound of Rain was impressed with her auntie's ability to support both children's vivid imaginations. The clan mother encouraged any kind of creativity that either child cared to employ when playing, making things, or helping with chores. If the children could find an easier or more self-expressive way of doing something, Weaves the Web was happy to go along. The clan mother showed both her charges how to work with their hands and how they could create a beautiful life in the same manner they created crafts of beauty. She showed them how to take care of materials, how to be proud of their handiwork, how to put love into everything they created. She reminded both children of the great mystery had put love into every life form and how they, as two-leggeds, were asked to continue the legacy of lovingly creating and loving creativity. Weaves the Web taught the children that every painted symbol had meaning to an artist, and that every color had a significance when an artist created an object of beauty. The medicine story behind each pot or toy gave those items a mission or something to teach a two-legged who looked upon those creations. The self-expression of the artist who created the item always reflected how those craftspeople felt about themselves, how well they had developed their skills, and how they saw the world around them. Weaves the Web became a muse for the two children, always urging them to use their imaginations and reasoning powers by putting their creativity into workable methods that would allow the pictures in their minds to match the crafts or playthings they made. Sound of Rain was a striking example of how quickly a child could learn to become as skilled as an adult. The girl's keen ability of observation Oh, sorry. Sun Behind the Clouds was the quieter of the two because he's the boy. Oh, got it. Sound of Rain is the girl. Sound of Rain was a striking example of how quickly a child could learn to become as skilled as an adult. The girl's keen ability of observation and repetition astounded Weaves the Web. The young girl's imagination and sense of self shined through every new endeavor she undertook and then accomplished. Weaves the Web could clearly see from the way Sound of Rain used her materials and took painstaking efforts to make and paint pots that the girl would become a masterful artist and craftsperson. Symbols were delicately and precisely painted by Sounds of Rain's unswerving hands, guided by the girl's natural sense of proportion and composition. Weaves the Web realized that her heart's hidden desire had brought the dream of having loving artistic children into life. As a warming moons approached, the clan mother found herself weaving future dreams that included her niece and nephew, sharing the magic of creating a life full of rich potential. Daily, Weaves the Web returned thanks for the fullness she felt in being privileged to observe the children's growth and joyful self-expression. She forgot what it had been like to pass winters alone in the silence, with only her pots, crafts, and toys for company. One sleep during the warming moons, the voice of the Earth Mother permeated Weaves the Web's dreams. Daughter of my spirit, hear my voice. The gift you have given yourself in the form of these two children is a gift of the Dream Weaver, Grandmother Spider. You will nurture these children into adulthood. You will share their exuberance and their tears. You will find yourself reflected in them as you observe them passing through the cycles of growth and change. These memories are the living treasures that every mother carries inside her heart. While they grow, the children will also use their creativity to test your authority, to test your wisdom, and to test your resolve. Know that they need a firm hand as well as a loving aunt who teaches them how to destroy limitations through using their self-expression and creativity. The clan mother thought of all the times she had shown the youngsters how to make something new from a pot or toy that did not turn out as it should. Creation and destruction could always be reinvented if one used imagination. Weaves the Web took the Earth Mother's words of wisdom to heart, making note in the dream to remember all she heard and perceived. Then the Earth Mother continued, You have birthed your heart's hidden desire through weaving your dreams with the invisible webs of the creative force, daughter. You have created a loving family circle that will touch the circles of every other life form when life's experiences are shared. When your hoops of creation come together with the circles of life's experiences created by others, new ideas and creativity are available to everyone who is willing to share. Sun Behind the Clouds is a living extension of the male side of your nature, and Sound of Rain is a reflection of the female part of yourself. As you love them into adulthood, you will be creating the patterns of self-expression and webs of creativity that will serve them throughout their earth walks. Through their experiences, you will be able to see how your own creativity can meld with theirs to manifest the dreams you have shared in common. Teach your children well, Weaves the Web, and you will show others how the spirit of the artist living inside every human can fashion a world that represents the creativity of the great mystery placed inside all living things. Oh, what a beautiful vision for humanity. As the Earth Mother's voice faded, Weaves the Web found herself riding through her dream on the back of a cheetah. Cheetah's medicine of accomplishing tasks with speed and agility brought the clan mother's visions that seemed to fly through her mind's eye as if in fast motion. Images of showing the children how to accomplish new tasks, avoiding the laziness and procrastination that comes from lack of inspiration, flashed through the clan mother's mind. The future would be good. The horizon was bright with possibilities. And Weaves the Web had found an unlimited source of inspiration, seeing the world through the eyes of Sound of Rain and Sun Behind the Clouds. weaves the web, silently thanked the great mystery for allowing her to express the beauty found in being a mother of the creative force. Her path would grow and change along with the lives of her children. Every object she had ever created was an extension of her love and self-expression, each having a purpose and a mission of serving. Her children would find their own purposes and missions through their individual forms of self-expression. As the keeper of survival instinct, the clan mother realized that she had created a way for the wisdom and love she carried in her Orinda to be passed on, surviving the tests of time, because she had woven a web of creation that allowed her to give life, longevity, and permanence to her manifested dreams. And that's the end of the story. Absolutely beautiful. What came up for me when I was reading especially the introduction to the chapter, was that I had dreamed of writing a book. I've wanted to write a book for like decades. The ending of my book came to me during a meditation when I was 38 years old. And it was a dream of the evolution of human consciousness, which interestingly is prophesied by many Native peoples, including the Native Americans, who call it the rainbow whirling dream of a oneness. It's the same vision. So when I had this vision of the evolution of human consciousness, and I knew what I saw was the end of my book and the beginning of my second book. But you see, I had so much to learn. I hadn't connected with my spiritual Orinda. I hadn't connected with Mother Earth. Even though I'd been living in the country for, 4 years by then, or maybe it wasn't 4 years, but anyway, I still hadn't fallen in love completely. Oh, that's right. I'd been living in Forbes for about a year, but I really needed to dive into knowing my relationship with my planetary family, my relationship with the cycles and the moons and my own body, and my power to create. I wanted to create the book, but I hadn't connected with my spiritual Orinda well enough to bring it into reality. It was just a dream, but I couldn't write it. And I didn't have the focus. I don't even want to say I didn't have the motivation. I just wasn't ready. So for 10 years, I dove into knowing myself. I dove into my personal evolution. Something deep inside me knew that I couldn't write about the evolution of human consciousness until I had evolved inside my own self first. It had to happen within. I had to look at my shadow side. I had to take an honest look in the mirror and look at all my ugliness and flaws and lies. And that took time. It took determination. I had low points where I was so over my false selves, my past selves, that I just wanted change more than I wanted my next breath. And all these catalysts just allowed me to know myself more fully, know myself more fully, know myself more fully, to evolve. It allowed me to speak my truth, know who I am, what I came for. And it sounds like such a big thing to do, to find yourself. And it can sound a little bit overwhelming, but I can assure you, it's like what my beautiful mother-in-law said, Patty Stitt, how do you eat an elephant? Like, you can't even imagine that, can you? But if you had to, you would just eat it one mouthful at a time. And that's the same with evolving your consciousness and doing the work to find your purpose for being, to work out what you came to do, to be your authentic self, to show up and express self as best you can. It just happens one step at a time. So you just take the first step. You start with creating a life in the now, which looks like the life you want to create. So you be your evolved self in the now. You be your evolved self in the now. You be your evolved self in the now. And then eventually you become that evolved self, because all of those nows create. And I just love that at the moment I'm living in my mother-in-law's house. She's in spirit now, Patty Stitt, but I'm living in her beautiful, beautiful house. Her husband is alive, but he is in another place in town. And so we're flooded out, and my daughter's doing her final leaving exams. So she and I have evacuated from our farm and leaving my husband and other daughter back there to tend to the animals. And we're living in this beautiful house, and everywhere I look is just her creativity. You know, everywhere there's these beautiful little jumpers that she knitted, patchwork. You know, she's even framed her children's art and put it down the hall. Everywhere she celebrates her creativity. She made all her children's clothes. She was an incredible cook. She could sew, she could knit, she could crochet. And I'm just surrounded by her creativity, and I see how she created her visions into reality, and the love that she gave for her children, and making my husband so emotionally intelligent because she was so emotionally intelligent. She created him and his life through her intentions, and she's in the spirit world now. But her creativity lives on in everything that she created in her life. Tangible, as in all this beautiful art, or intangible, in her son's essence. And I just am constantly reminded, living here in this house while the Forbes is having this terrible flood, I'm constantly seeing her creativity and knowing that I also created my vision to write a book. And when I was able to write the book, I just left my job and wrote it. But I didn't just leave my job and write it. I spent 10 years preparing to manifest the dream. I left my job. It took me 10 months of working every day, 8 to 10 to 12, 14, sometimes hours a day of writing. And I said no to a lot. I didn't go on my phone. I didn't listen to podcasts. I didn't watch any TV or movies or go to anything or do anything. I just committed to it. And that kind of determination and perseverance, dedication and commitment came to me really easily because it was my vision that I was birthing. I didn't have any writer's block. I didn't have any off days. I just got in and did it. And it was an example of being ready to manifest my dream because of the steps I went through 10 years earlier to do myself what I was going to write about. I couldn't write about it until I did it myself. So I just did it and then wrote stories which are examples of my self-expression catalysts, which allowed me to be able to express myself. That started with finding out, well, what is my true self? Then I had to make changes to align to that true self. And then eventually I began to just embody that true self. And when you embody your true self, your whole life becomes your self-expression. So now the book's finished, but there's no separation between what I create in my daily life and my truth is my creation. So all of my relationships, all of everything that happens and everything that I do and everything that I'm walking the talk. I'm creating and I'm self-expressing in every moment. And so the art becomes, my relationship, a letter I write to someone, an article that I write, something that I post, or some way that I touch someone, or so self-expression is in everything we do and everything we touch and everything we say and everything we do. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you all so much, and I look forward to meeting for the next full moon to talk about how Weaves the Web showed up for you this moon cycle and how you work with truth, how you were able to find your truth and then work with it. Because once you know your truth, then everything you do in every moment of every day is just working the truth, working your truth, working universal truth, working humanity's truth for the good of all. And what a beautiful vision for the world, for each and every one of us to light up in our little piece of the world. And then imagining the web that I create with that authenticity then touches your web that you created with authenticity, and that touches the other person's web and everyone's web. And then you imagine the whole planet, all of those webs touching and connecting, the interconnectedness of all beings. And then we all connect, and that evolves human consciousness. We can do it. There are enough of us awakening. I really, really have faith in this. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening.